Alright, so this is a reference video. I usually do reference videos for myself in order for me to record my back testing and rewatch them, right? So, and this is for me to study and for me to drill information in my head. So for this, we're going to get into how London session could be a very beautiful session, especially if you trade in a London pair. So this is the London hot zone, and London high probability trades. I hate how it looks. This is what I'm gonna do. I don't like how it looks. I know I'm picky about a lot of stuff. We're gonna do this. High probability setups. And all you need in order to be successful with trading London, I'm gonna put this down real quick. Let me add some sticky notes. Alright, so when it comes to London, so the London high probability setups, you need a hot zone, which is 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. You need to find a setup within that time frame. So setups usually show themselves within this time frame, right? So 3 a.m. Eastern time to 5 a.m. Eastern time. So that's the hot zone. You also need, before you find the hot zone, you need to mark out the highs and lows of Asian session. So you want to mark out the high and lows of Asian session. So that's anywhere from 6 p.m. Eastern to, I would mark it all the way out until like 2 a.m. or like to 3 until London starts, 3 a.m. Eastern time. So this is what you want to do. You wanna mark the highs and lows of Asian session. The chart is moving, so it's going crazy. You wanna mark out the highs and lows of Asian session, and then the hot zone you'll be focused on trading is around 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. And within that time zone, within the actual zone, you need to look for a breach of high or low, and the high probability formula, right? So the high probability formula, remember, that's high probability price, time, high probability time times high probability price, which is manipulation, times market structure shift. and that'll give you a high probability trade. So London session, the 3 to 5 a.m., that's already high probability time. That's already what that is. I'm gonna put it like that. So, and what we're looking for within this time frame is a breach of the high or low in a high probability formula. Market manipulation. So I'm gonna put manipulation and market structure shift. So how does that? This is all theory, but how does that look in action, right? And this is what this is. This is the reference video. Back testing reference video. Reference video. Alright, so that's what this is. So without further ado, y'all get y'all notepads out, and I'm gonna get mine out because this is for my studying as well. So without further ado, let's get into the meat of the content. So let's go back to where London session. This is a 5-minute time frame. London session and Asian session. Let's start going back to see where these zones are. So right here, we'll do from 19. We'll do from, this is GRE 30, Germany 30 DAX. So it's different. It opens at a different time. And this is the low right here. So with this particular setup, it breached the top and came down. At 3 a.m. it breached the top and came down. So this, we wouldn't take this trade because the reason why, unless you took it pre-London session, we wouldn't take this trade because it's not giving us everything we're looking for. So remember, from 3 to 5, from 3 to 5, so from 3 to 5, we could possibly take in this trade because if you look at I wouldn't have taken this trade because this is a previous low right here. And this is a previous high. Now, the only way I would take this trade is me just watching it and seeing the market structure shift and break a structure and just take it to the top. But that leaves out the breach of high and low right here. The formula is still there, but that leaves out the breach of high and low. So that's not a high probability trade. Alright, so I would skip that. We wouldn't trade that because it's not giving us a clear breach of a higher low, and the formula is pretty much out of whack. So let's go further. So we wouldn't take that trade. So for this, now take a look at this. This is the high created during Asian session, and this is the lowest point of Asian session right here. Is it? Let's see if it is. Yeah, it is. That's the lowest point of Asian session right here. And this is a beautiful, beautiful setup, man. This is beautiful. Asian session open up right there. PC running low. I gotta go get my battery. I mean my charger. Hold on. Alright, so this is the bottom of the Asian session for Tuesday. It rolled over into Wednesday, 12 a.m. stuff. That's the bottom of Asian session. And this is the top. This is the height of Asian session before London session start. So these are marked out. So we mark out the highs and lows of Asian session. So these are marked out. I could draw a box here so you can see clearly. What I always say is Asian session is the beginning of everything. So this can even go for New York plays, right? So boom. We can mark that out like this, right? So this was Asian session. Now, this is the breach within the 3 a.m. time frame. This was the low of Asian session. This is the high of Asian session. You could still play these plays, as these will be less significant though, because this is the low created before the session opened. So you can take this play. This is a breach of the low created before the session opened. Manipulation here, run it up. But this is an actual play here. And if you take a look at it, market structure shift, high failed to be broken. There's a breach here, liquidity play, and you can run this all the way down to the liquidity zone, the double bottoms down here. So this is a high probability trade. If we look at it, mark out the highs and lows of Asian session from 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. So that's what we did. And then the hot zone is usually 3 a.m. If we look at 3 a.m. from 3 a.m. to 5, within that time frame, we got the breach. So breach of high and low manipulation structure. And that's a high probability trade for the downside. And then we could take it to the equal low, equal high. So now this is what I mean by this can run into actual New York session as well. And it can actually run into every other session, because what happened here is now, even after that time frame, after 5, you see the lowest breach, a market structure shift, another right here, this lowest breach too, and then you can actually take this play going back up into the gap, right? So this could be a high probability trade, but it's outside our window, and so we wouldn't take that trade unless you feel like you missed this and you feel like you want to take that trade. So that was example number 1. Asian session marked out, Asian low marked out, Asian low marked out, Asian high marked out, breach up top, came down. We could take this entire trade here, take this entire leg down to the bottom. Even if it was down to here, it would be fine. But this is the previous low. This was a low that was created during Asian session, and now London session has a low of its own. Because London session has its low and London session has its high, this is the high of London session, and the low of London session failed to break this high up here, but it did breach a previous high with the manipulation, came down for New York session. Low taken out. Low taken out before New York session, and retracement here to continue with the trend coming down. So let's find another example. This is back testing. We're going to back test. We're going to back test. All right. So if we look at this, London's Asian session opens here. So this is the low of the Asian session. This would be the low of Asian session because this was a newly created one. Yep, so that's the low of Asian session. And this would be the high. Let's see. This would be the high of Asian session. Now look at what happened. Now look at what happened. We could mark this out again. Box it out. This was Asian session up until this point. Up until like right there, Asian session. Breach. So notice the breach took place. So this was 59. So this was actually an Asian high too. But once it opened, it took it out and it came back down. Once it come back down, retracement, market structure shift, we could take this coming down. We could take it coming down. You could hold it to like 5 or hold it to the bottom, and look at how it came down to the order block down here. Boom. So that's this all the way down here. Nice solid play, and then it starts consolidating, and it breached the bottom the next day. Next day it breaches the bottom for it to run up. So we got 2 solid plays. We back tested London session. London session kill zone, hot zone. We have another one here. This would be the high, because London session will start when this thing drop. So that's the high. This would be the low at the bottom down here. This is the low. Look at what took place. We could box this in. Box this in for 3 o'clock. We'll box that in. This is the main high right here though. Even though this high was created before it opened, but we still have a market structure shift. So this, the actual Asian high that was created before this one, and we can see how this is still a market structure shift on the overall play. This is just a high that failed to break. So now I'll still count that. I'll still count it, because all you're looking for is manipulation of a high of the Asian session or the low of the Asian session. And then you see how it manipulates and come back down. So it started coming back down. And we can take this trade to a previous order block. Somewhere down here. Oh, let me see something on a higher time frame. Yeah, previous order block somewhere down here. This ran all the way up into the order block up top here. And this was a high of Asian. This was a high as well. Order block hit. And then market structure shift. And it came down. So now this becomes a breach for New York session to run up. You see how that plays? So that became a breach for New York session to run up. So let's go to another one. Like this, we could do this all day. We'll do it all day because this is just how it plays. Like it's simple. And this is, I just chose an Asian pair because this is an indices that works well during the Asian session. So if we look at this, right? So market opens here. The low was here. The low is here. But when market opened, it failed to break that low. But it is still coincided with this right here, the shifting structure. So the 3 a.m. move, we have the shifting structure. We have another shifting structure right here. This failed to break the low. Then we can run that up. It failed to break that low. We can run it up. But it's clearly showing from there to there. So it's either going to break it or there's going to be a shift. The manipulation already happened here. And then there's a shift. So this low created right here as well. This low right here. This was the last low. That was still breached. So even this could be a manipulation right here. So even if you didn't catch it here because you would be trading outside the window, now you're in the window. Now you're in the window. Now you're in the window. And the breach, this is the last low right there. And the breach happened. Last low, last high. And the breach right there. Breach happened here. You could take it either here, because this is, if you look at it, boom, failed to break. You could take it here, run it up, or you could wait for the greater retracement and run it up from there, and that'll take you to go up. So London session is probably the best session to trade. In my opinion, I think it is the best session to trade because you have a structured environment to work with versus being confused and the way the way New York session goes. Once the market open, it goes crazy. London session is more clear cut with everything. So like if you look at this, right? So let's do this. 19. This is Asian session high. This is Asian session low. So this becomes a high up here. So the market opened here. Right? The market opened here. So the low is breached. Came in. Came down again. So now market structure hasn't shifted yet because look at it. It's still breaking lows. Broke high. Came down. Broke low. Kept breaking lows. And so this will be a dead play because this led too long into New York session. So this would be a dead play unless you got in before the session opened. This would be a dead play. So I wouldn't trade this. I'll leave that alone. I wouldn't trade that. This is 3 o'clock right here. Yeah. Yeah, this is, you see how it's dead? It's a dead market. That's a dead market. I mean, you could take this minor trade. as a manipulation play, but this isn't, it's not a high probability trade. I will sit this out. No trade. No trade. No trade for that. And this was a trend run. You could just get in with the trend. Once it it's definitely not going down to that low. That was a high. High got breached. Came down. It created another high. Failed to break the low. Failed to break the low. Yeah, nah. This is a trend run. Unless you're looking at a higher time frame, I wouldn't trade that. That's a trend run. And I think that's this right here. Yeah, that's a trend run. You don't need to trade every single day, but for the most part, London session is where it's at with a lot of these solid trades. Consolidation. Higher time frame play. New York session play. Breach. Up there. But this is about it. It's me just back testing, training your eyes to see certain things. Just training your eyes to see certain things. That's all this is. Training your eyes to see certain things. Manipulation right there. Previous low. Manipulation up top. Run down. You could take that and finalize that trade. Previous low to the bottom for a more longer play trade. And you're good. If you mark out your 5-minute time frame, 15-minute, 5-minute, and then you go down and you start trading London session, scalping on 1 minute, you pretty much get nice plays off the 1 minute and the 5-minute, the higher time frames. So this is just my back testing reference. This can be used for just about any pair, and anyone could pretty much use this. But besides that, let's go. Let's get this money. This is a London session back testing reference video. All right, love y'all. Let's keep going. Let's keep pushing. Let's make this happen.